taking a few moments to collect ourselves from all the places we've been before getting here, and arrive at our seat, arrive in our body, arriving at the breath, arriving holding ourselves in kindness. It's always nice to have a little bit of thought and intention around being kind and compassionate with ourselves as we're sitting, and to allow that to bring some joy and kindness into the mind. Just taking the time to relax in the best way that works for us. Often I do a little guided, imagining your body doing a sweep, your mind doing a sweep through your body. And I probably won't share so many words this time because you've heard them all before, and I'll just let you do that process in your own time and in your own manner of letting the body relax and be held by gravity in our seat. Sometimes it's nice to just take a few nice long breaths, just letting the exhale out and bringing in the inhale and settling ourselves in the present moment. Sometimes, although I haven't said it much, sometimes depending on what our circumstances are and what arises naturally, it can be nice to just do a little rocking forward and back or side to side. Sometimes we find that kind of happening naturally, of just a little bringing ourselves into the body and knowing that we belong here to ourselves and we can comfort ourselves. As we bring that kindness into our hearts to encircle us. Giving our hearts permission to be caring for ourselves. And as those deep breaths help us settle where we are, we've begun a simple process of using the most common object used as a mindfulness practice, and that's paying attention to the breath. Noticing its coolness coming in or warmth going out at the nostrils or at the belly. We can notice pressure that presses against our lungs and rib cage and diaphragm. And we can notice the letting go of the breath, the space that's created at the belly, or the warmth that happens at the nostrils. We're just being present and choosing this object as of the breath as our current place to put our mindfulness. And without talking to ourselves about it, we can just notice and know that the breath that comes in is a long breath or a short breath, and the breath that goes out is a long breath or a short breath. We're just with the present moment of the breath, breathing our bodies and noticing clearly when it arises, how long it stays, and when it passes away, when things fall apart again, coming together and falling apart, seeing this with direct experience over and over and over again. Which helps the mind develop some concentration by returning to the single object of the breath, or perhaps a touch point works better for you to keep you more grounded at the buttocks on the cushion or the hands in the lap or wherever you notice your arms touching. Sometimes when the mind wanders away from the single object that we're attending to, we can easily notice restlessness in the mind or restlessness in the body, or there may be tiredness that arises. We can notice that, be with that, and gently bring ourselves back to the single object of the breath or the touch point. Any of those hindrances arise and pass through, we can notice however long we might stay with restlessness if we're on jumping around on a lot of thinking, or however long we notice that we've drifted off into that very pleasant zone of sleepiness right before we aren't aware anymore. And we can just wake up at that time whenever we notice and just gently bring our attention back toward the object of the breath to allow for a gentle kind of spacious concentration to be accessible without too much going back constantly to the hindrances. And sometimes they just happen a lot because there's a lot of busyness on the mind. And sometimes we can just let those thoughts be present and leave on their own accord, with mindfulness being present, knowing that these are conditions that have come together. They'll last a certain amount of time and then they will disappear. And so it's this practice of mindfulness, being present in the moment, focusing in this case on the single object, that we keep returning to naturally develop concentration. And we can also naturally see that the hindrances can leave on their own accord. They can fall away. We see them, we acknowledge them, and they fall away. And we are really seeing into the nature of anicca, anatta, and dukkha, that conditions arise, they stay for a time period, they pass away, they are impermanent. And we see this clearly through this mindfulness over and over again. And awareness is there to guide us, see clearly, let go of what is not useful. Wisdom is there. And continuing inclining toward mindfulness, toward this kindness that we're sitting in, toward some of the factors of energy and confidence in the practice from awakening each time we have awareness be present. It's a repetitive process, but it yields some results. We can begin again at any time, just renewing our intention of being being mindful at the fore, letting mindfulness be our guide as awareness is awakening with mindfulness, and we can see whatever's happening. We can always return to the basic of, is the breath long or short, warm or cool, rough or smooth, or a sensation that arises in the body that catches our attention. We can view it with that same attention to sensation, seeing it as an object in the body of pressure or tightness or warmth or coolness or stabbing, or there's all kinds of adjectives we can come up with when we are present with pain in the body, in which we might be able to see that it's not solid. If it seems too hard to look at in that way, then we can just back up and just notice with a soft, gentle note, oh, there's pain somewhere. And come back to the breath. Or the touch point. And if at any time we notice ourselves wandering, we can also just wake up right there where that moment is and notice those sensations of feeling, of pleasant or unpleasant, or we can't tell what's happening right there. And we can expand our breathing experience into our whole body breathing. And we can expand the noticing of the single object to noticing changing objects. whatever is changing and we're attentive to. Its impermanent nature, a thought arising, a sensation in the body somewhere, something happening in the ear door. So we can expand from the single object of attention to the continued practice of mindful awareness at changing objects, whatever is arising. Wherever it's arising, we wake up to that moment. And in this process, we're nurturing continuity of mindfulness. Whether it's our mindfulness is directed toward that stabilizing attention on a single object, which can lead to deepening states of calm and tranquility, or when mindfulness is directed to this noting or noticing of changing objects, the concentration brings increasing clarity of these three characteristics, that everything that we are noticing is impermanent, unsatisfactory, and has no solid sense of self. And this characteristic of concentration in both of these ways of practicing being undistracted, it's the steadiness of the mind that makes it possible for wisdom to arise. This concentration can actually make the mind more pliable and pervade it with a kind of happiness that's much greater than the happiness that we attribute to sense pleasures. As we become concentrated in this way, we can really understand things as they really are. breath by breath, with kindness, without ill will toward ourselves. We carry on, encouraging ourselves to have just enough energy to be interested in what is appearing, without reaching out towards seeking, but letting this kind of presence be available to receive what arises in the heart and mind, and be present with it to see clearly its changing nature and beginning again and beginning again. What is the attitude of the mind right now? How is our heart, mind? How are we holding it? In kindness and compassion, without ill will. Noticing these moments of joy that can arise when we are present to seeing what's really happening, whether it's pleasant, unpleasant, or we don't really know. We're confused about it. And we can let this nurturing of concentration also expand into the Brahma-vihara practice, also a concentration practice of kindness and compassion joy and equanimity, holding ourselves in this kindness, in wishing well for ourselves, goodwill for ourselves. Knowing that we are all subject to impermanence and struggles of disappointments in life, and knowing that we can't grasp to what pleases us and we can't let go of what doesn't please us sometimes as readily as we want to. We can hold ourselves in kindness and in compassion, letting it be okay to feel what the challenges are, to be present with ourselves, to face what's happening. As we go through this process of nurturing ourselves, allowing the mind to become more light, more soft, more malleable, and brighter, holding ourselves in this kindness and compassion, a feeling that might be in the body, or perhaps some of the phrases of "May I be free from inner and outer harm." Letting this sense, this felt sense of the heart, include another person. A friend or a benefactor, someone for whom it's easy to have kindness and compassion. Maybe visualizing this person, seeing this person clearly being happy and healthy. Including them in our heart space, that they be free from harm, have ease in their lives, be able to manage difficult situations with grace, with compassion for themselves. May we hold that compassion for them. And then letting this heartfelt sense of kindness and compassion include another person, a friend or a benefactor. envisioning this being happy and healthy, free from harm, safe and protected, and having ease. Wherever we find ourselves in the process, just beginning again. Letting some sense of heartfelt kindness, freedom from ill will, include a neutral person. May you be at ease. May you take care of yourself happily, letting this neutral person be seen to our heart's eye. May you be free from harm. When things are challenging, may you hold yourself in compassion. And allowing this kindness and compassion to flow to others in our circle who aren't here today. Wishing that these beings be at ease. Allowing this kindness and compassion generated from our hearts flow to other people we don't know, seen and unseen, those that are in joy and those that are in sorrow, those that are enlightened and those that are unenlightened. Those in various realms. May all beings everywhere, those that swim and fly, walk, crawl, may all beings everywhere be free from harm, safe and protected. May they know happiness and have ease in their lives. And have compassion for themselves. Find moments of joy and handle their lives with equanimity. May they know these 4 beautiful emotions, these boundless, effusive emotions, boundless. Anicca vata sankhara uparivaya domino upakitawa meruchanti te samvaposamo sukho. All conditioned things are subject to impermanence. They arise and they pass away, and by seeing this clearly with mindfulness, it brings the greatest happiness, which is peace. And may we have gratitude and appreciation for our efforts, that these efforts of our practice and training our mind to be free from ill will and have ease, and to see suffering clearly as arising and passing away. May this be of benefit to all beings. Thank you so much for your practice.